Hello and welcome to this webinar, Jahia version 7, a functional overview. This webinar is for editors and authors of Jahia, plus business users. And for this webinar, I will present Jahia Digital Factory 7, which is Jahia's flexible and extensible, yet very easy to use open source CMS. Before I start, please note we've already started our series of webinars for developers. The first one was on April 22nd. The next developer webinar will be on the 29th. So you can get all the details at jahia.com/company/events. Also on our site, lots of documentation. So if you go to resources, editors documentation, you can start looking at in detail at the documentation that will cover a lot of the things I'm going to show you here today. So let's get started. So for this presentation, we will work on a demo site called Acme Space. Acme Space is a fictional space engineering company, and this demo site is available with the Digital Factory download and the demo download as well. Those of you that know Jahia already know this is our demo site. So here's the site in live mode. We have our out-of-the-box navigation bar menu at the top, giving us access to the internal pages. Here we have a slider, homepage slider here in carousel. We have a few lists. And if you're going to work on this demo, you can look at this homepage to see how to use the demonstration. Who are the roles, who are the users, what are their logins, and what are their roles. So as I said, here's the site in live mode. So we're just browsing this as what's called the guest user. Someone who's on the internet stumbles upon our site and this is what they see. So we can't really add content except for if we go to Space Blog, for instance, these social components such as forum and blog. I'll click on this first latest blog, and here's a post, and now I'm free to enter a post on this blog as well without ever having logged into the site, because this is what's called user-generated content. And this brings us to an important concept in Jahia, is that there are two workspaces for content. The live workspace contains the content that we see here in live mode, and the staging workspace is where editors make their modification. And it's the act of publishing that moves the content from the staging workspace to the live workspace. For editors and contributors, we have two modes for creating and editing content. We have contribute mode, which I will show you a bit later, and our most robust mode is edit mode. So let's start by logging in as an actual user, an employee of Acme Space, which is Bill, and he is the editor-in-chief of Acme Space. So once logged in, I can see my picture here, and I could go to edit mode. But first, let's click on profile and go to Bill's dashboard, because this is something new with, we've improved the dashboard with Digital Factory 7. And here Bill can see all the sites to which he has access. There are a few sites here, and then the modes to gain access to those sites depending on the permissions he has. He can also see all pages that were created by him and their last modification and publication date. On the My Settings panel, he can update all information about his profile. And these panels are customizable, of course. You can customize them with development to fit your needs. So let's go to Acme Space Edit Mode, and we'll start looking at what Edit Mode is all about. So edit mode is organized into three parts. We have the toolbar on top to navigate throughout the application. On the left here we have the selector, and the selector information will change depending upon the panel button you select here. The first button here gives you the pages of the site. So this is your sitemap, and you can navigate throughout, you can create pages, and you can move pages around. And here we find what's called the edit frame, where we select and modify content and add content. So I'll click on a page here, drill down, and on this space exploration page, as I move around the page, I can see the content items are highlighted in blue. I can select one and right click, or go to the menu here, or even double click, and we open what's called the edit engine. And this is how you modify content. Now everything in Jahia is content, and all content is modified in this manner via an edit engine. So this window is composed of several tabs, and the tabs that will appear for the user depend upon the permissions he or she has and the rights they have on that particular content item. So here I'm in a component called Made Content with the title, and here's our WYSIWYG editor, the CK editor, and we can highlight content and change the font color. We even here have some macros, which means that I can say hello to the user by pulling in the username here. And let's select that again and make that bold. And we click Save. So here I've changed this content. You can see it's saying hi to Bill here. In this edit frame, you can move content around as well. If we want to move this image above the rich text, we can. We can also copy and paste content. So if I copy this block here, now I can see that the buttons appear in other areas, and I can paste to make a copy, or I could paste a reference. So now I just have a reference. So if I change the original, I'll change the title here. I see it changed there, and I also see it changed over here. So now let's look at creating content from scratch, starting by creating a new page. So as I mentioned here in the sitemap, select the page, the parent page you would like to add that page to, so the subpage of home, of course. We'll create a new page, and creating a new page is simple. You add a title. We'll create an extranet page, and we choose a page template. And these templates have already been pre-designed for us and delivered for the editors of the site. And we'll do a 2-column with banner, and that's all you need to do to create a page. So we'll create this extranet page for Acme Space employees. And here we see that some areas have been designed for us, and to create content, we simply enable the area. And with this button, we can add content, and this brings up what's called the component library. But let's go back here to this second panel button, and you can see the same component library is here. This lets us drag and drop components onto the page. So I'll add a Bootstrap rich text, and I simply drag it there. And I have some text in here, and I will click Save. So after there, let's add a few other different types of components. Multimedia. I can add a video, drag and drop, and I'll tell the video source, which is a file I've already uploaded to my site. It's an MP4 video here. And I'll click Save. We can add social components as well. Jahia comes out of the box with many, many components in different categories that do different things. You can use these out of the box, of course, or you can use these as a starting point and extend these and customize them to your own needs. Let's add a poll. So the question will be, do you like my video? And I could give the poll an end date and close it and open it. Actually, the poll would probably be better here on the side, so I'll enable the side area, and I will drag the poll over there. Yeah, that does look better. So inside my poll, a poll requires the different answers for the poll. So we'll do yes, and save and add new, and quickly add no, and save. So our page is looking nice. Another really neat feature I want to show you, component that we can use, is how to include external content onto your sites. So for that example, I'm going to go here to our Flickr demo components. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a Flickr photo stream to our extranet page. And here I can give it a title and some text, but the most important here is the user on Flickr. And we'll go to the Commons area in Flickr is where all these public photos are. So NASA, of course, going with our space theme here, these are the public photos. And all I need to do is use this name, and I can put that here in my component. And once saved, I am now pulling in photos from that Flickr Commons area. What I also want to show you is for this video, we can make this appear or disappear according to different visibility conditions. So again, clicking on any content item, you can go to the edit engine and you have all these options here, and we have visibility. And what this means is that I could say, for example, adding a day of the week condition, I could say that this poll is only available on Fridays. So this will be hidden or shown according to the day of the week, and every week it will repeat. If I'm in edit mode and I want to check out the visibility status of any content, I can go to the view menu and click show visibility. And here I have a little binoculars icon that appears, and it's red, saying it's not visible because it's on Friday. So of course we want to remove that for the moment so we can see this poll. So adding all this, let's go back to our page here. And we'll talk about publishing. And I could just go ahead and publish the whole site, but I know personally that nothing has changed except for this page. We have the publication status of the page here. We can also see the publication status by going through the publication manager. There are many ways to see the publication status. So for this demo, we'll keep moving along, and I will right click on the page, and here I have an option to publish. So I can launch a simple publication one-step workflow. Jahia comes with out-of-the-box one-step and two-step publication workflows. We do support JBPM, which is an open source workflow Java workflow system. So you can add more complex workflows if need be. Here I can look at the information that's going to be published. Here's all the different components, including our conditional visibility that we worked on. So for the sake of this, I will this presentation, I will just bypass the workflow so we can look at this content. One thing I forgot to show you is that we have a preview mode, which before you publish, you can see this site, how it would look if you were to publish. So you don't need to publish to see everything. We do have a preview mode. But let's see how our page is looking now. I'll go to live mode, open a new window, and here's our new page. Here's our extranet page, and I can play this video. I can vote on my poll. Yes, I like the video. Vote. Here we go. And on this photo stream, I'll click on a photo, and I can even view the details. And now I'm viewing this as a full page in Jahia. Let's go back there. And now we'll look at the other panel buttons here. The second panel button we saw was the content library. And thirdly here, we have the content button. So Jahia has a concept called out of context content. So content here could be created outside the context of a site. So here we have a site with a template, placement, CSS, and all that. But here we have our Acme space with a contents folder, and there's a project news inside. And these are different news entries that have been created in a different interface that allow the true editors of the site to simply drag and drop over to the page. So you have one team more doing their job of content creation and another of content placement and rendering. And of course, Jahia supports multi-sites. Here I have two other sites here on this installation. So Bill has access to them and he can switch between them and edit. But even better, he can go ahead and look at the content of another site and possibly drag a file over from there. Which brings us to our next tab where we can store all those files for each site. So here's all the Bootstrap files, the CSS and the images, all our space images that make our demo run correctly. We've uploaded them to a files directory. There's that personal folder that I mentioned earlier for Bill. He has access to that. If he would like to drag and drop something on the extranet page, he could. And now for the search panel, Jahia, every piece of content stored in Jahia Digital Factory is indexed. It can be excluded from indexing, of course, if you'd like. So everything's indexed, including the content inside files, such as PDF, Word, Excel. So you can do a full text search. And on this quick search panel here, you can choose what type of content you're looking for. We call it node type here, but here's the components. And lastly, I would like to talk about our mobile and channel tab here. So here's our extranet page, and we have all the different devices, the emulators. So generic, of course, being the desktop. But if I click on iPad, now I'm seeing this page in our iPad emulator, which is built in. And here you have all the information for that. So Jahia allows you to dynamically adapt your content to your mobile strategy, and you do this by using what we call channels. And for example, maybe you want to push certain content to certain devices. And Jahia will allow you to manage this all the way down to the content level, the piece of content here. So to see an example of this, I'll go back to the generic here. Go back to our pages here. And for an example, I'll click on that Files panel button. And for Acme Space, I uploaded this icon available to the App Store. Maybe on your site, you want to make your application available on the App Store. So you could go ahead and drag something like that over. And this will be an image from the document manager. And ideally, this would link to the Apple Store to download the app. I'm just going to put no link because I don't want to click on it and go off to Apple Store. You can edit that. I could have stayed inside there. And going to the Channels tab, I can select the channels that I would either like to push this to or exclude from. So, of course, we want to choose Apple products, so I just drag iPad and iPhone over. And I want to make sure these are included only for these channels. And I click Save. So right away, I'm on the desktop, so I don't see this. But I would like to know how this is rendering on these mobile devices. So to do so, we have what's called the Customize Preview. From the View menu, we click Customize Preview. And down here for the channels, here's our list of our channels. Before I look at that, I want to draw your attention to the fact that you can do a customized preview for a certain user, so you could check out what's going on with their permissions and rights. You can also do a customized preview for a date, and this date could definitely be in the future because we have that visibility status, so you could see if what's working at what date for your site, how the rendering is going. So we'll go to Kindle Fire. We could even look at this in landscape. And we click Customize Preview, so we see our extranet page, we see our poll, our video, but I'm not seeing that Apple App Store banner. We'll go back here and we'll look at this on the iPhone. Again, here's our emulator, and here's my poll and my title page, and here's my my App Store image that I put on there. So that's how you control pushing or hiding to certain mobile channels, and you can create dynamic content according to whatever strategy you're going for. Next, what I want to show you is contribute mode. I'd mentioned that we had another mode for editors on our Jahia Digital Factory. And while edit mode is our most robust mode for editors, we have a contribute mode that offers a much simpler, lighter mode for content creation and modification. And this will allow users with no formal training at all to quickly and easily add content. And I will show you how easy it is by going to contribute mode. So let's go to the home page. And we see the difference between edit mode and contribute mode right away is we do not have this left selector panel, because the idea here is that these contributors just need to get some content onto the page. They're not going to deal with creating pages and sitemap. So I know that on the home page there are no areas that we can add content to, but I know going to the events page in this demo, here is our list of events. And if I go down, I can see this button, and it's actually marked event. So the idea is to create areas, open them up to contribution mode, and then restrict these areas to just the type of content you want added. This will guide the users. So this user can create an event very easily here. And that's how easy contribute mode is. Next, what I want to talk about is the Jahia Studio. So we have talked a lot about the new Studio in Jahia version 7. And of course, we've released plenty of tools for developers who can now code inside their Jahia application. But let's not forget the Studio still remains a powerful interface for web designers to create and modify templates without any coding at all. So before we go there, let's set up our example. So we've been working on Acme Space, but here I have an XYZ manufacturing site, sample site. There's actually nothing in it here, and this is based on sample Bootstrap templates as well. So what I want to do is create a new page template to use on this site. This is easily done by going to Studio. So I'm going to log out as Bill. I'm going to log in as the super user root. So I have access to Studio and we don't have to worry about permissions. So from the mode menu, I have Studio, which of course is installed because I'm in a development mode. Production mode would not have that installed at all. And here in my list, I have all the modules available for me. And here's my sample Bootstrap templates template set. Here we have 1, 2, and 3 column page templates. So here's just a 1 column, 2 columns, and 3. And they're all inheriting from a base template, which includes a header and a footer. So if I right click on this base template to add a new page template, I could we'll call it 4 column page. And that's all I need to do to create my new page template of 4 columns. Of course, we would like to add the 4 columns, so I activate this page content area. And here I add the Bootstrap layer, which will allow me to choose from the predefined columns, of course, or custom. And Bootstrap works on a system of 12, so for we need to choose this one for the 4 columns. So there we have 4 areas that we can activate, one after the other, like so. And now I was talking contribution mode. We saw that area for the event where that person could only create events. Here in the templates is where you could do that as well. we're going to add an area to each one of these columns. I'll add one area there. And here is where I can make the restrictions on the area. So maybe this first area, they can only do a file reference. And I'll add a second area. And maybe here they can only add video. On my third column, I'll quickly add another area. And maybe here we won't restrict anything, so they can add any content. And on my fourth area, I will restrict that to something else, just basic multimedia, so they have a few choices there. So I'm just going to go off and build this and make sure it's deployed on that XYZ manufacturing site. Now I know this is a functional overview webinar, and talking about compiling and deploying modules is a bit technical, but as you just saw, if you grant access to, let's say, the webmaster, they can easily come in here and create new templates, sets, pages, and then build those, compile, and deploy those on the necessary sites for editors to use. So let's run back to edit mode, and we're talking about this site here. So let's say on the home page I would like to create a new page, and we should have our new template set available. So here's my new 4-column page template, and all I have to do is click on the page, and you can see I have these 4 areas. And like we showed you in edit mode, you just enable the area to add content. And here I see that I can add a file reference, second column a video. Here I can add any content, and here is multimedia, so it brings up the whole content library category for multimedia. So that's how you add a new page template easily. Something else I wanted to show you, we'll go back to our extranet page, and we'll see this in live view. And going back to that example of the Flickr module, if I click on the details of a photo, I'm viewing this photo in full page inside Jahia. And this is done by a content template in the module. This is how we do that. So we can, in this example, we have all this white space here. Maybe it was left on purpose because we want to start adding to that white space. Make this more interactive. We can add, let's say, a rating component. So we can do that as well in Studio. And I just go to my Flickr demo module, and under the templates here, this is what we call a content template. That's what's used to open that photo in full page. So down here is the row that has our back button. Here's where the main photo is displayed. And here's that white space that we can add to. So I just activate that. And again, try not to be too technical. What we do need to do is add a dependency. But again, it's not very technical because you can just drag over what you're looking for to add that dependency. So under the social components, we have a rating. And it needs no properties, we just save. And we'll link it up to that photo, so it always stays linked to that photo. So that's what we're rating. And new in Studio, of course, is our in-context view versus the structure. We're looking at the structure of the template. If I click on in-context, I can see what that rating is going to look like. In-context will bring in as much CSS as possible to show you inside Studio the rendering of that content template or the page template. So let's go ahead and compile that. And that's done. So here we are, the same view, and now I'm able to rate this this photo. So here's the rating, and when people come in here and see this photo, they can keep rating this photo. So that's how you can easily work in Studio to provide your editors with the templates and the components that they need. So I want to welcome you. I want to thank you for joining us. At this moment, I will do a slight pause in the webinar. And please use the Q&A option in the WebEx to type in your questions. And I will collect those questions, and then I will come back online and we'll answer those together. Okay, I'll just see you in a few minutes. Welcome back. I gathered some questions, and one interesting question was very basic actually. How do I, as quickly as possible, get running up on Jahia Digital 7? And let me go back to my Safari here. Simply go to jahia.com. Under products, you can see all our products that we offer on Digital Factory. Here we have a try and download. And here you can download the enterprise distribution or the community distribution. And I chose this question because I want to link it to a second question. Somebody said that they are already running the community distribution and they do not have the mobile and channel functionality inside. And that's because that is only available here in our enterprise distribution. So you have a 60-day free trial with that. So go ahead and feel free to download there. The other question we had was, can you show me an example how to quickly and easily create a form? Do we have form components? So yes, we do. I just right now created a forms example page to work on, and we'll go over here and create. We already have a login on the main page, but I'll show you the different out-of-the-box form components. We have a login form we can create on the page, and you can display the Remember Me button, and that's all you need for that. Let's see what other kind of forms we have. We'll do a contact form. And here, these are, again, this is straight out of the box contact form. Feel free to take this as a starting point, extend it, and customize it. These are the default properties that we will add to the form. So maybe I want someone's first name, their gender, and the city they're in. And then I'll add a CAPTCHA to protect my form from robots. And here's that form there. But here, let me go ahead and publish this page so we could see what it looks like. Our forms page in live mode. So I'm logged in as root. I can log out here. Log back in. And here's the little form I just put together quickly and easily. And CAPTCHA is not my strong suit. I think it's VE. Yeah, I'm not the best at CAPTCHA. There we go. So yeah, I just redoing the CAPTCHA only saved the gender. You can customize how you would like to store those results. If you'd like to capture those and store them in your database, you can. So again, thank you for joining us. And please see jahia.com for our future upcoming events and webinars. Goodbye.